So get up there, man. What's up?
What's up, bro?
Not too much, man. Just watch these fucking fights. I'm excited as hell. What about you?
Dude, my fucking modem was fucking me over all night. Dude, I got this new modem yesterday, man, and it wasn't working, so I hooked my old one up, and dude, it was lagging all night and fucking freezing and shit.
Yeah, I ain't even gonna lie. I was watching a little stream too. Mine, there was a couple times it cut off. I had to refresh the stream and stuff, but I ended up I was still able to listen even when it was laggy a little bit though.
Yeah. The audio kept going, but I don't know if it's just the Bellator event, there's not as many streams going, because usually with the UFC event, dude, there'll be 30 things to choose from, you know?
Oh yeah,
but
no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I usually go to Reddit, MMA streams, and try and find one whenever I can't afford I'm not buying the pay-per-view or whatever. I usually go there, and that's where I went this time. But yeah, I know what you're saying, because there was 1 out of 8 streams that only held the pay-per-view. A lot of them only did the free TV shit, and I had to search for the pay-per-view.
Oh, for real? Yeah. Or MMA Mastermind is sending me links for my phone. I don't know, my phone doesn't download that shit, or it doesn't stream on my phone.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, man, what do you think about the results of the fights tonight? What do you think about the prospect? I don't know what all you knew about Aaron Pico and the prospect and all that stuff, but it was funny because my brother came up to me today, what do you know about Aaron Pico? I was like, what the hell are you talking to me about Aaron Pico for? This is the guy that will tell you Conor McGregor and Brock Lesnar are the coach, and he came up to me and asked me about Aaron Pico today. I was like, what the hell? And so I was like, okay, Bellator must be pushing this guy. Then he loses in 14 seconds, and it's wow.
Yeah, I don't know, that's a big stage for your first fight, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Andy Jones.
The sky's the limit still for him, you know? That, literally means nothing.
Yeah,
he got caught. He got caught with the uppercut.
It's really the better result. You know? It's because now this guy, Zach Freeman, literally is an overnight star, sort of, because this guy had all the spotlight on him. So now that he beat the young prospect, you know, it's okay, he's just young. It's a huge stage. It's fine that he lost. But that Zach Freeman guy is really on the map now as well. So it's really kind of a win-win in my eyes.
Yeah, but at the same time, that was still Aaron Pico's first fight.
For sure. Yeah, he's 0-0, 20 years old.
That's just so much to put on the guy for his first fight. You know, that's in the New York stage. That's pretty much Bellator's biggest card.
Sure.
That they can put out. There's nothing more that they can do bigger than that.
Did you watch the press conference? He seemed just a tad bit uncomfortable there. It was a really big stage. He wasn't way out of his element, but he just compared to, of course, Chael Sonnen and some of the other guys that were talking, he just wasn't as comfortable.
Even Freeman.
Can't expect even Freeman, for sure. Even Freeman.
He's comfortable. He kind of stole the show a little bit.
He did. I had already made my predictions, but I was like, wow, I kind of like this guy.
I would have never picked him.
Yeah, he was like, I'm the only one up here with a full-time job, and they were like, oh, what's your job? And he was just went into it I would do this. And then he was talking about how he trains with, different, he definitely stole the show a little bit. I agree.
No, that's cool. Good for the old man. He caught him that was a beautiful uppercut. The timing on it was perfect.
Yeah, that was nice. And I think that was the fastest finish of the night, too.
Yeah. There was a couple of quick ones. I got it on, finally found a stream, got it on, right in the beginning of the 4th round of the Lima fight.
Okay.
So, I missed all the knockdowns and shit in the fight. What I saw, the last couple of rounds were pretty fucking boring compared to what, some of the replays were, but, I don't know, that was alright.
Yeah.
Pretty much what I expected, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in that fight, Larkin definitely seemed like the stronger fighter. Like when Lima would get in a good position, Larkin would like easily get out of it. But he just because he was like the bigger or stronger fighter, he was just like Lima. Definitely, I felt like won the fight. Like the knockdown he had was pretty insane. Like I felt like Lima was about to finish the fight at some point, and that was the only person I felt like was going to finish the fight at some point. But I mean, Larkin, he still got potential in Bellator and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Lima pulled it out. And did you see the what Rory McDonald had to say right after that fight though? Like the commentator desk. He came out talking stuff, man. I was like, let's go, Rory.
I think he'll be the champion for a while there. I feel like Lima's really good. It's impressive because Larkin comes from the UFC and he left the UFC on a winning streak. You know, and the UFC is clearly a different level because when you see guys come over, the majority of the time they lose their first fight.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but a lot of the time, you know. So
Ryan Bader
when you're making that transition to a lower level, so when you're making that transition to a lower level, you just kind of assume that guy's going to win, like Rory did, you know, like he told through Paul Bailey. And I don't know, in a way I thought it was going to do the same, but then I was watching, because I'm essentially sleeping on Lima. And I watched some of his highlights, so it was like, Fuck is good. He really is.
Yeah, he definitely is. And I don't know if you've been watching The Ultimate Fighter at all, but his brother's on The Ultimate Fighter right now. It's Diego Lima.
Yeah.
And so, he's got like the family of fighters. Was he? Oh, I didn't even notice that. That would be pretty
so.
Cool.
Like, I thought I saw him, but I don't want to say for sure, but I thought it was him.
Speaking of UFC and Ultimate Fighter and Bellator, what about Mike Goldberg and Marlon Ronaldo?
Dude, I love that.
Wow.
Dude, that was
like
great. Me and Mastermind were talking, and like he was like blown away by the fact that the Goldie and Monaro.
They did it. Like
awesome.
People worried about them splitting and splitting duties, and like it was even Brendan Schaub, even what's his name, Stephen Thompson. Like he came out, like everybody, all the commentators today, literally all fucking did great. Like I was like, damn, this feels like a UFC pay-per-view.
Yeah, not only that, like it was all their first time doing this together, and it didn't feel like that.
Yeah,
like it didn't feel awkward and shit. Like they
had only one time.
It was
like Marlon Ronaldo told Brendan Schaub, like, yeah, a lot of mic time for you tonight. He had to slow him down. But yeah,
right.
Other than that, it was like perfect. It was epic. Yeah, I thought that shit was. That was cool as hell. Mike Goldberg calling the fight. Him and Jimmy Smith having a little dialogue and stuff. They even brought up Joe Rogan a couple times, but it was just like, it seemed like, man, like they did it before together. Like it didn't seem like their first time. That was pretty cool to me. Mike Goldberg back, that was pretty dope.
And I think just for Bellator in general, like the fact of them having that familiar voice, because that's the UFC.
For sure.
So like for casual fans, that makes it, that's like, just kind of adds a little bit more comfort. Like, hey, like, what is it? This seems familiar for some reason.
Oh yeah, and then you see Chael Sonnen versus Vanderlei Silva as the main event with Mike Goldberg commentating beside a bald guy.
Fedor.
He's Fedor, he's like, is this good to him, right? What was it? Like the
it was really weird, right? It was really like their guy that's kind of like the Joe Rogan position, like looks like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Jimmy Smith, I think his name is. Yeah,
it is kind of weird.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a good commentator. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. But it's, I mean, I like the guy, but yeah, it's funny. He looks like Joe Rogan. It's like he's even starting to like put on weight, like get bulky like Joe Rogan. Like it's funny. I'm waiting for Scott Coker to go bald like Dana White. Scott Coker looking for a fight. Bellator fight and shit. Holy crap. Yeah. Oh, that'd be fucking epic. Scott Coker going bald.
Like, the more and more the shit that they're doing like this, like it's coming closer and closer to the co-promote days. Like that shit's coming. Like I really.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Man, like it's crazy. Like all the stuff going on. Like this. Like Viacom is making so many moves. Like they're getting so many UFC fighters. Mike Goldberg, Marlon Ronaldo, not Marlon Ronaldo, but like they're making so many moves. It's like It's low-key reminds me of, like, I don't know if you were ever a fan of, like, wrestling, like WWE type shit, but, like, it low-key reminds me of, like, WWF, WCW. Like, it's coming to a point where, like, they're both gonna, like I was saying, I don't even know if I put the video out yet, like, Bellator used to be the B League, now they're, like, 1C. So now it's, like, 1A and 1C, but they're, like, literally getting closer and closer. And UFC, it keeps making press for the wrong reasons. Dana White, you know, doing whatever to Demetrius Johnson. Oh, you know, giving somebody the title fight that's not Cyborg. They're letting Holly Holm and GDR fight for a title. Like, they're making a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense. Oh, GSP versus Bisping doesn't make sense, but they announced it. Bellator is doing so many things that are right. He's signing all, you know, Rory McDonald, signing these guys. Some of their champions are beating UFC guys. They're signing Mike Goldberg, the fan favorite. It's like Bellator is making the right moves, UFC's making the wrong moves, and they're just inching closer and closer toward each other.
Yeah, and they're doing it quickly, and, like, ever since the sale, it's really, like, it's almost like Bellator saw it as a weak thing. Like, ever since the sale, UFC has done so many things that are just uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're not doing the shit that got them to this point.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the shit that, you know, wouldn't have got them to that point.
Yeah, it's crazy. And for them to buy the company for so much money, it's like you think they know what they're doing. I wonder if there's more money in the co-promote. Like, do they want the co-promote? Would they rather just be the leader in the industry? Because Viacom is making moves. And you know, I was thinking about this earlier. If Viacom would have just purchased Bellator and Dana White and the Fertittas didn't sell, Viacom might have been able to bully the UFC out, because Viacom has, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, has like as much money as WME type shit. So Viacom, if the UFC didn't sell, they might not have been able to compete with Viacom. So maybe they had to sell. I mean, I don't know, but that's just like, it's like Viacom is making moves.
I'll bet that was one of the people that offered over the years.
Yeah.
They've been offering. They say about all these offers that they got, and like they got offers for more, but they liked what WME would do, and like that's just kind of goofy because WME, like, they're learning this. Like, none of those people are really people that are like in the world. It's Kobe Bryant and Conan O'Brien's, like, they talk to fighters and shit, and they watch fights. What do they know? Yeah, they can't relate to those people.
No.
Like, not even on the basic.
Kobe should be talking to the players getting drafted into the NBA. They're about to start making millions, not the guys that are making 5 and 5 or 8 and 8.
Yeah, like,
they know how they need to spend their money. They need to pay their bills.
Yeah, exactly. Because after it's all said and done, like, they really don't get shit out of an 8-month contract,
trainer,
even 12 and 12.
And then, not to mention, like, starting to have to hire, like, nutritionists and stuff. What do you think about Johnny Hendricks missing weight? Holy crap.
Dude, that's fucking ridiculous.
Holy crap.
The second time in middleweight?
No, this is his second fight at middleweight, but that was his first time missing weight at middleweight, I believe. He fought Hector Lombard, it's like after he got forced up to middleweight. But he missed weight 3 times at 170, got forced up to 185. He fought Hector Lombard, and now he missed weight again versus Tim Boach. And it's like, dude, you can't go back to 170. You're missing weight it's not even like a 10-pound jump. It's a 15. Dude, you got 15 fucking pounds leeway to make weight. How do you miss this weight? That's a discipline issue. He opened up a barbecue restaurant and shit. I think it's like somebody, who was it in the comments? Given surname, I think. He said that Johnny Hendricks was eating Whataburger like 2 days before weigh-ins. And on a podcast, he came out and said he didn't start cutting weight until 3 days before weigh-ins. And what the hell, dude? Like, this is either he's trying to get cut and go to Bellator. I don't, like, it's hard for UFC to cut him because he was a UFC champion, but he just missed weight at 185. This has to be a discipline issue, I'm thinking. What the hell?
Well, if he doesn't win, then they're, like...
Are they still fighting?
What are you going to do? I think. Why wouldn't they?
I hope so.
Wasn't it?
It was just a couple pounds. I would think they were still fighting, but the articles I was reading were making it seem like the fight might be off. And, I mean, I know there's been people that definitely took fights for bigger weight advantages, 5 pounds, 10 pounds. But
yeah.
Tim Boach or Johnny, like Johnny Hendricks could be like, oh, I killed myself trying to make weight. Now I'm too weak to fight. He could call his own fight off. Tim Boach could be like, oh, he misplayed. I mean, I hope they're still fighting. I really hope they're still fighting. But I haven't even seen that article yet. So I mean, I hope you're right. I mean, but yeah, it's just 2 pounds. I know that.
I've seen a video clip of this dude. I think it was at the Bellator weigh-ins. He weighed in like, I don't know, 3 pounds over. But they had the towel out and shit, and he started leaning his foot off the Did you see that?
No, I've seen the headline, but I've never clicked the video. But I've seen it as like cheating or something. Like, I don't know if he told on himself or if they just caught him. But yeah, I've seen somebody
caught him.
Oh wow!
No, they caught him. Like, it was so.
It was in New York.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
Like, they made him get on the scale like 2 more times, I think. After like the first couple times, I was like, he wasn't really paying attention, but it was something like that. Like, they made him get back on the scale, and no, it was
New York's showing that Talgate stuff was a one-time thing. They ain't playing no more.
Yeah,
they changed the towel rules, and they're washing your feet. That's funny. So in the Chiesa Lee fight in that card tomorrow, who do you got in the main event? Hello?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've been kind of thinking Chiesa because I think that I don't think he's going to really want to stand with him, and I don't know. Kevin Lee has really good wrestling and shit, so he was probably might stuff to take down, but. Chiesa might pull guard, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Oh, that was a tough one for me, too. It's really tough. Like, I was, in the very beginning when I heard about the fight announced, I was going for Chiesa. Then slowly I started rooting for Kevin Lee. Press conference came, I was like, let's go Kevin Lee. And then, like, cooler heads started prevailing, and I was like, man, I'm not going to just go for Kevin Lee because I'm starting to like the guy, and he's entertaining, and I was like, man, Chiesa's supposed to win, but then I started, like, just doing a little more knowledge and looking into it, and it's like, Kevin Lee, even though it's not big names he's been beaten on his 8-1 streak, it's still good guys. Like, he's beating people that are coming into UFC, like, 13-2. He'll take them out, you know, and it's like, yeah, they're not huge names in the UFC, but that doesn't mean they're trash, so it's like, his record could be a little deceiving. Because when you look at Chiesa's record, you know, he's got submissions over, like, Benil Dariush, and there's somebody else he just submitted that's a black belt, and it's like, he's got the more notable names and the higher, like, the better resume, but Kevin Lee could easily win, could easily stuff the takedowns, could easily just win with the striking, like stifle him with the striking. There's so many ways Kevin Lee could win, but at the same time, it's so hard to pick against Chiesa. This is a good ass fight. I'm picking Chiesa on my prediction, but damn, I would not be surprised if Kevin Lee won, and I wouldn't mind it. Yeah, because he's already called out Khabib. Like he's down to fight the best guys.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Definitely.
I was about to say, did somebody get pulled off that card? But we already talked about Johnny Hendricks missing weight, but he might not be off the card. Who's the co-main event for that card? I can't think of it off the top of my head. I know before that it's like Felice Herrig and Justin Kish, but I can't think of who's right before Kevin Lee and Kish off the top of my head. But
BJ Penn and Dennis Weaver,
I think they opened the card up actually, like on the UFC prediction. Like when you go to UFC.com and you look at the card, they're like but I don't know, it's not that serious. I could probably pull it up somewhere on here on the computer, but yeah, I'm not gonna put you on the spot with me. I don't remember who it is off the top of my head. But I mean, yeah, tomorrow's still gonna be a good card, man. Hopefully Hendricks still fights. Who do you got?
It's really strange the Bellator card like shadowed the UFC card.
Yeah, right before.
Like, really the first time it's really ever done that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a Sunday night card and everything. It's not like the UFC's putting up something in competition, but it still shattered it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And it's like I forgot who I was listening to. I don't know if it was the MMA Hour one of these MMA shows or podcasts, they were talking about how back in the day before the sale, the UFC used to try and squash events like this. Like, if you're having an event Saturday evening, we're going to have one Friday. And, you know, like you just said, this one came Sunday after. So, like, it's almost like, you know, all this stuff going on, it's sort of almost like the UFC is allowing Bellator to step up into that second place a little more. I don't know why, but it's like, because they said the Fertittas and Dana White would never have shadowed Bellator. And now they're like shadowing. Now they're cool with it, you know, but maybe it's just because they're comfortable, they feel like it's the number one spot, they feel like there's not even a close second. But I hope that's not what they're feeling, because I'm starting to feel, you know, a certain way about Bellator. This Bellator card tonight, I mean, there's no way that, I mean, there's a way, but, like, it's definitely going to be better than the UFC card tomorrow, I'm thinking. Like, it's for one, clearly it's a pay-per-view, the other one's fight night. They're not trying to stack it as much, and this is probably, they were trying to stack this New York card as much as they could, but damn, did it feel like a real pay-per-view. Like, and like someone at the press conference was saying, you know, this isn't just the co-main event and the main event stacked. The entire card was stacked. Like, some of these UFC pay-per-views, it'll be just the main event, or just the main and the co-main. This was like, okay, every single fight, you know, is part of the value.
Yeah, well, and I guarantee that the presentation will be better than the UFC's tomorrow. Like, I hope that this pushes it into co-promotes. It's like the one thing MMA needs, you know, and whether it's in like the next year or 2 years, but it's the co-promotes, you know, like that's the one thing, like Pride and, oh my God, like I remember when it was just a dream to have Wanderlei and fucking Liddell fight when they're both champions, and it happened, but not when they're champions. Not like it didn't have the glam, like it still did. It was Wanderlei versus Liddell, but it wasn't the same as like all the talk about it, like, you know, back when Pride was big, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and that, oh my God, like that. I don't even know who you would have fight, you know, like McGregor, or not Chandler now. But
yeah, that's what
like,
I was just about like McGregor versus Chandler, and it was like, damn, Chandler's ankle just fucking broke. Some shit.
Yeah,
but I was just going to say, speaking of co-promotes, how about Chandler versus McGregor? But damn, did that just go down the drain. But yeah, man, that would be
a great fight.
But like Rory McDonald versus like Tyron Woodley, the rematch. Rory got the first win, but some people say UFC is the best, so you might go with the UFC, or you might go with the person who won first. So get a couple more championship plays, and that could be one of the fights. Rory versus Woodley, McDonald versus Woodley, the rematch, and stuff like that. They're definitely getting closer though. Chandler come back, get the rematch with Primus, beat Primus. You got Chandler versus McGregor, McDonald versus Woodley, Mitrione versus Stipe. Like, okay, they need some heavyweights. Bellator needs some heavyweights. But still, hey, was Baylor versus Mitrione for the heavyweight inaugural title? I don't think it was, but I know they're going to be working toward a heavyweight title soon. I don't know who's going to be a contender versus Matt Mitrione for a title, though. I mean...
I don't know, that would have been a perfect fight to have.
For the inaugural title, I'm thinking. I don't know any other heavyweight fight.
Yeah, I'm going to get a big yeah, you know, because now Fedor, who knows, like, he might not ever come back again.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, what do you think about the main event, Chuck Sutton versus Vanderlei, being 3 rounds? And, you know,
I missed most of it, but...
okay, well, I mean, I don't know if you know or if you knew, but... So, you know, UFC, I mean, I know you know this, but the main event, every main event's a 5-round and title fight. This wasn't a title fight, but it was the main event of Madison Square Garden, and it was only a 3-round fight, and it went to decision. So it's like, do you think they should have went 2 more rounds, and, you know, maybe someone would have got exhausted and there would have been a finish, or are you fine with the 3-round main event before a pay-per-view?
I don't know. The UFC didn't always used to have the 5-round main event, and like they did it for a reason, in my opinion. Sure. You know, and like I think that the way the Bellator has fallen them or the UFC steps in so many ways, like that would have been a huge thing for them to follow. Mm-hmm. You know, like Silva, Silva could have knocked him out in the 4th. he was really going forward towards the end. But that's the thing, like, Kale's just going to keep shooting this. He's just waiting for him to throw so he can shoot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I think that they should definitely do that.
The 5 round. At the press conference, I forgot who it was. I think it was Matt Mitrione. He was saying, for some reason, he believes Bellator is like the leading MMA organization in some category. And he was like, it feels good to be leading for once and not having to follow from the back. And so maybe he's thinking the UFC is going to follow them and turn it back to 3 rounds. But I don't know what stat he was talking about, but it was funny that he said that, though. Like they were leading the UFC. Like, no, this was a really good paper. Okay, now what about this? Scott Coker said this was the best pay-per-view of the year so far. Do you agree, or do you think UFC, like, 211 with Stipe and Joanna and Masvidal Maya was better? Or any other pay-per-view?
I think it was the best one for Bellator. Like, not pay-per-view, but just card. It's hard to put it up against a UFC. Like, how many fighters were from the UFC? You know, like they probably wouldn't have had any attention to them if they hadn't been in the UFC.
Yeah.
So, like, that's still a UFC fighter in a way, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. And even like the commentators, like you got Mike Goldberg, and like even they still reference Joe Rogan, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mention Joe, but Joe. But you know, it's like still, it's like it seemed like everybody was there because but yeah, you're right. There was a lot of UFC fighters, even the UFC commentators, even Brendan Schaub coming on board. You know, like there was a lot of UFC in this Bellator pay-per-view.
Yeah. Which, I mean, for the casual fan, that's good. It's
for sure.
You hear Goldie's voice, and that's been
here we go
forever. You know, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's in the video game and everything.
And they've been using his voice in promotions. Like before, like this last event, what was the last pay-per-view? 212. They were using Goldberg's voice in those promotions. So I mean, you still hear him occasionally. Like, you watch a UFC commercial, you'll still mess around and hear his voice. And then you watch Bellator and it's like, oh, there he is again. A casual fan could easily get confused. See Chael Sonnen, Mike Goldberg, hear Mike Goldberg. Oh, am I watching UFC? What the hell?
Well, think about it like this. Like, if you were to think of boxing, like WBO or like all their different, you know, like me personally, like that, I'm lost in that shit. Like, I have no clue. So for a casual fan here in UFC, Bellator, LFA, whatever, you know, like it's just different things to them that they're not, you know, like obviously the UFC brand is clearly the biggest. Like a lot of people are like, oh, you thought UFC, you know, it's like no MMA. Oh no, it's UFC, you know. So like there's still that, but they definitely like created a confusion that's going to be beneficial for them.
And see, I agree with that boxing thing because I don't even know who the UFC is of boxing. Like, I don't know if I would guess WBO because that's the only one I can think of. But like, I don't even know who like the difference in boxing. So, I mean that is true. But like I would say, like my brother, like he knows Bellator and UFC. He doesn't have a clue who LFA or WSOS is yet. So Bellator is definitely moving up there, but I do hear what you're saying for sure.
And like in my eyes, and I don't know, it could just be me personally, but like I see Bellator as something bigger than like Strikeforce was, and like I mean I know Strikeforce is like at Showtime or whatever, but like it just I don't know, it seems bigger to me like in comparison to the UFC at this point. Like they're making.
I think it's because MMA is just way bigger at this point. Like, because I wasn't even, like, a real MMA fan back in the Strikeforce days. Like, I didn't learn about Strikeforce until I was a fan of UFC, and I learned that they had purchased them. But when Strikeforce was still alive, I didn't even know about Strikeforce. So now, the casual fans know about Bellator. Like, so I was a casual UFC fan back in the day, and I didn't know about Strikeforce. But the casual UFC fans today do know about Bellator, so you're right. But because Bellator is on the map, Strikeforce was big to hardcore fans, but it wasn't really on the map to casual fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, Man, I was just about to go into how Strikeforce had a lot of top contenders, and Scott Coker found them, and then I was about to think about Aaron Pico again, and I was like,
Well, and that's the thing too. Like that was Scott Coker, so he's obviously got that that model that works. You know, but now it's a better time. So like at that time, it was a smart thing for him to sell. But now, like it's a smart, like he can really build this goddamn cocoa notes. It's fucking coming.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely coming. And then I mean I don't know if it's gonna be between anybody but Bellator and the UFC. Maybe World Series of Fighting, but LFA I think it's supposed to be like a feeder league type thing, but. If anything, it'll just be like a Bellator versus UFC card, champion versus champion or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, 2019, I think we'll have one. End of 2018, they'll be talking about it.
Yeah, well, and like, alright, so you have Mac May coming up, and then like after the payday of that, I mean, so after that you might get like, Diaz McGregor 3, so that'd be another big payday. I mean, I know it's early and, like, you know, things change and things happen, but that would be the next huge fucking pay-per-view.
You know what I just thought about? This, oh, fuck, dude. Okay, so, you know how they're about to fold the flyweight division, right? Because Demetrius Johnson's not taking TJ Dillashaw fight. TJ Dillashaw's not focusing on 125 anymore, and if the fight doesn't happen in Seattle, they're most likely going to fold the division. Well, what if the UFC folds the division? Bellator opens the flyweight division, accepts Demetrius Johnson, Joseph Pino Benitez, Ray Ford, all these guys, and you know that just makes them the hero a little more because it's going to be like, oh, UFC, you guys just put all these guys out of a job, and Bellator just came and put all of them in a job.
And they're paying them better.
And they're paying them better, and they get their own sponsorships, and it's the greatest of all time, Demetrius Johnson.
And then that's not just picking through fighters, you know, like pulling fighters over.
Oh, no, that would be the greatest flyweight.
That's the UFC division.
That's the greatest flyweight. That would literally be easily the greatest flyweight division in the world. There's no flyweights that can come over from the UFC and touch Demetrius Johnson, unless you go for the co-promote and to TJ Dillashaw makes 125. But no, that would be crazy. But the way it's going, the way the UFC is pissing everyone off and Bellator is making everyone happy, that's a possibility.
Dude, there's so many possibilities with that.
Oh yeah,
there's so many. I mean, they're endless, really. I mean, like the way it seems to me right now is the fighters want to be with the UFC for the exposure and the name, the brand. You know, like it's obviously the biggest. And if you're, you know, top of your division, you're going to get paid. But the majority of them aren't. You can go to Bellator, get treated a hell of a lot better, and like it really seems like Bellator, like every one of their fighters, they treat them like a star. You know, they give it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, a Fedor or a Mitrione or, you know, so they're going to give him more, but they still, it seems like they every fighter on their side.
Even the smallest guys on Bellator, who you know aren't making as much as the smallest guys anywhere else, they don't come out complaining. Like, I live in Kansas. There's a couple, fighters in Kansas that I know fight for Bellator. There's a guy, named David Caveman Rickles and someone else named Chris Harris, and they fight for Bellator. And what I'm saying is just even people on that lowest level, you don't hear them coming out and complaining about their Bellator pay or I wish you don't hear anybody coming out and bad mouthing Scott Coker or Bellator. And that's even people like Will Brooks, who got cut as the champion. It's not like he came out Scott Coker, he lowballed me as the champion. And it's just insane how good their PR is, how they leave everybody on a good note. And as compared to Dana White is literally making one of the greatest fighters of all time badmouth him, while he's still hired. So it's just evening out. The balancing beam is just every day, slower and slower, balancing out for the co-promote. And once that happens, it's going to be epic. I mean, we're all going to be waiting for it. My one thought on that is I hope it doesn't water it down like boxing, because boxing is, to say the least, watered down right now, and I hope it wasn't because of like the co-promote is what watered it down, because I don't want it to be like people like, oh, I got to keep track of the MMA and Bellator and LFA and WSOS. Fuck that, I'm just gonna watch something else. So I hope that doesn't water it down. I don't think it will, because I know I'm pumped for all of it. But I mean, I hope that's
something that could help. Something that could help with that would be, you know, like this new California weight regulation thing. So you're going to add all those extra divisions, and now you're going to be joining the two. So, like, if that's going to happen, that has to happen first. I mean, that has to get understood, you know, on a common level before you could ever do the co-promote.
Yeah, but do you think that just thinking about that made me think, damn, that, like, a weight class every 10 divisions, do you think that will water it down? Like, oh, I lost at 170, I lost at 175, so I'm going to go to 165. Oh, at 165, I just felt too weak. I think I need to go back to 175. You know what? All along, I haven't been able to eat my right protein, so maybe I should jump to 185. And it's going to be like just recycle, like Johnny Hendricks, like, oh, I missed weight at 185. Maybe I should just test 195. And like, oh, okay, dude, you know, you just lost. Like, what do you mean? Like, or who was it? John Ferrer, he just came out and he was saying, oh, yeah, I was injured before my Tim Bosch fight, but it didn't hurt me. But during the Robert Whittaker fight, it hurt me a little bit. So it's just like a weight class every 10 pounds is going to be the unlimited excuse for some of these guys.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I think the kind of the goal behind it is it's based off of like your hydration levels and stuff. So it's really going to be hard for you to fluctuate. So that'd be like if you're going to go, let's say you're at 165, so then you go down to 155, or then you go up to 175. That's a 30-pound difference. So that's a huge change in your body. Just because you have to maintain that healthy level, you know. Like, there's room to cut, I believe, but there's no way you'd be able to cut like you do now. And I don't know, like, Joe Rogan was a huge advocate and, like, talks about it all the time on his podcast about it.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I agree, but whenever I was reading, like, rule changes for, like, the weight cutting and stuff, it was like, if you rehydrate over a certain amount, they just recommend that you fight at a higher weight class, but there wasn't anything they could do about it. Like, because you know how wrestlers, when they come, a lot of guys who come from wrestling are better at cutting weight than guys that come from other backgrounds, so it's like, if I just have, like, weight cutting down to it, I mean, you can't say that about John Hendricks, but if I have weight...
Well, he should, though.
He should, you're right. I know, like, these wrestlers are guys who, you know, they've been cutting weight since high school and shit, so so if they have weight cutting down to a science, you know, is it their fault that they rehydrate higher because they're better at cutting weight? I mean, not, or because they said they'll recommend that you move to a higher weight class. But if you're just wrestling really good at cutting weight, they're not going to force you to a higher weight class. They're just like, hey man, you know, you're rehydrating about 30% of your fucking body, whatever the hell. You know, they're just going to recommend. There's no sanctions or anything other than a recommendation for you to move up.
Yeah, see, I don't like that. Like, I think that if they're going to do it, then they should do it in a way so like you're fighting more of your natural weight. Yeah, exactly. So you're more your natural weight, so that there really is more of a 145 versus 145, or not like it might be somebody who walks around 180 and somebody who walks around 170, and that guy's better at cutting weight. Like, I completely agree with you. Like, if you could, some way to minimize that or X-nay that, so just to make it a level playing field. But you get much better fighting performances when guys aren't dehydrated, you know, like pushing themselves to fucking death. You get way better performances. Guys are going to last longer. So many less people are getting gassed out.
Like, whenever you see a guy on the weight, on the scale when he's making weight, and you see him, like, drag into the scale, and after he weighs, he makes weight, he barely can lift his hands up, like, yeah, take a picture so I can go take a drink. Like it reminds me of the Louis Smolka versus Ray Borg fight. Louis Smolka literally was dragging to the scale, like, oh, I made weight. And Ray Borg came out and missed weight. smiling. I was like, oh my god, wow. And then Redboard won the fight, grabbed the mic, talking shit. I was like, oh my god, you cannot make me cringe anymore right now. And it's like, man, that weight cut, you know it had to affect Smoker.
Yeah, it's not fair at all. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he gets the money out of it. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, but you take that L, and it's like, you don't get the mic time, you don't get the promo cut, you don't get the... You get a little bit of Ray Board's check, but what's Ray Board's check? $12K? It's not like you're getting fucking half of the, some of Demetrius' check. Or like if Johnny Hendricks misses weight, that's a hefty chunk of change, but not if it's just a guy that's, new to the game.
Yeah, I bet people are like dying to fight Johnny Hendricks. Like, I want to fight Johnny Hendricks. Because you know you're going to get paid a little better.
You get like 20% of his purse, and you know he's got a fucking about $200K. You're getting about $20K extra to fight Johnny Hendricks.
Dude, that's tell you what, I'm getting paid to win anyway, so I'll take that.
Oh, that makes. I really hope they're still fighting tomorrow. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. You're rubbing their hands together like, oh, let me fight Johnny. Damn. But,
oh, man.
I mean, we can go a little longer, but I was going to say, last time I was talking to, I think, Jamari, we ended up talking for like an hour and a half, and the fucking call recorder stopped working at 50 minutes, so like cut off half of the conversation, but we're only at 41 minutes now, but I was just keeping that in mind so we don't fuck around and lose half the call on this crazy-ass recorder app.
Oh, that's all good, man. Yeah, so I heard your video about the Metrodome. You weren't excited about that at all?
I mean, well, for one reason, it was because you know how you said your stream was lagging? I didn't see what was going on at all. Okay, so I didn't see it. It was one of the ones I was just able to listen to. And so it was like, it happened so quick. I was like trying to upload the results from the last fight, and it happened so quick, and I was like, I even predicted Matt Mitrione to win, but it was just like too much. It was like, wow, a double knockdown, then Matt Mitrione wins. Holy crap! This was too much for me to process. I didn't even get to see it. My stream was really laggy, so I didn't see. I still haven't seen cleanly what happened. So,
here's what happened in my opinion. Mitrione's kind of back to the cage. He pushes off. They come back in. Mitrione, Fedor starts to throw right. Mitrione pops a jab. Mitrione had a longer reach. So I think that, like, when Fedor threw his right, he lunged in a little further. So his momentum coming in, whereas Mitrione was able to tag him, just from standing back, so he wasn't leaning in. So he kind of caught him with the reach. So it was a right on right, Mitrione's left-handed, so it was Mitrione's jab, and fucking dropped him. And it was like literally the perfect example of two knockdowns, like John McCarthy's cheek knockdowns. When Mitrione landed on his ass, Fedor landed on his back. Mitrione sprung to his feet faster. Fedor went to his knee. Yeah, and then fucking, as soon as Fedor landed on his back, Mitrione nailed him with a huge right. It was really
I didn't see that. Yeah, my stuff was lagging, like, it was lagging, but I was just thinking, because, man, it's like, I don't know, man, it's just, I don't know, it's weird to explain, but it's like, Bellator is just so close to the WWE, sometimes it's so much to take in, man. I was just like, I didn't see what happened. It was just like, what a double knockout. And like, oh, who would have thought? No,
dude, when I first saw them drop, I was like, there's no way this is going to end with a double knockout. That's
like, literally, like, who the fuck?
And then Mitrione lunges out, and I'm like, I knew it. Like,
double knockout.
I had a good feeling. That was crazy as shit. Like, could you imagine Fedor's last fight was a double knockout?
I know. I mean, like, even the commentators, like, I hate when people say, you can't write this. It's like, actually,
you can't.
It's insane. Like, 5-fight win streak ends on a double knockout versus Matt Mitrione, the new flagship of Bellator. And it's like, whenever I predicted the fight, I was like, I'm predicting Fedor to come in here and pass the torch. And it's like, it happened perfect. Like, Matt Mitrione won, so the torch was passed, but it was on a double knockdown. Like, you cannot make this up. It's literally like an overload on my sensation. Just like, so much crazy shit has happened. Aaron Pico lost in 14 seconds. Douglas Lima beat Lorenz Larkin. Like, people are getting knocked down. People are getting... Man, I don't know. It was really a fucking epic night of fights, and I didn't...
It was a good pay-per-view.
It was. Even the main... There was I don't know if you've seen the... You probably didn't, actually, now because you had to find the stream and stuff. But Heather Hardy fought before... Okay, so on the free TV, there was Phil Davis versus Ryan Bader, and there was James Gallagher versus Chinto Machida. And right before that fight was a female fight at 125, and it was Heather Hardy versus a girl named like Joyce. I don't remember her name, but it was a female fight at 125. That fight was dope as hell. She was a boxing girl, came over for boxing. She made a pro debut.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really entertaining fight. She ended up getting the knockout. She tried to go for the walk-off knockout. She let the girl, no, she's out. The girl recovered, and so she let her back up, and they were like, she used the boxing rule. She was waiting for the 8 or the 10 count, because it's like the girl had a 10 count, a standing 10 count, but since it's not boxing, the ref let her keep going. So the girl came back up on her and just ended up finishing her in like the next 30 seconds. But it was crazy how she like walked off. The girl regained.
Before.
I believe it, but because they were comparing her to Holly Holm during the fight, they said she's less like Holly Holm and more like Arturo Gatti, but they still compared her to Holly Holm.
Oh shit. I'll have to find that. No, I watched a little bit of her interview.
And she's 35 years old, so it's not like she's a young prospect. She's 35 fighting a chick that was 38. But I mean, still, it was her pro debut at 35. But it was a fun fight.
Huh. I'll have to try to find that. See, and that's the other problem with Bellator is definitely getting bigger, but it's not as big with the UFC. There's almost instantly highlights on YouTube or something, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or with Bellator, it seems like it takes a little bit longer.
Yeah,
but at least it has in the past. This might be different, but in the past it seems like it takes a little bit longer. And then it's more like a actual Bellator release thing, where it's kind of like a highlight of the whole, of the whole all the fights.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like it might just be like a Viacom thing, since they're so big. They try and control how their stuff is released, and because I swear it felt like on the stream I was watching right at the co-main and the main, and they started shutting shit down. I started having to find a new stream and refresh, and it started lagging.
Dude, that might have been what it was. Because you said that, Mastermind Media said that. He said that his shut off. The one I did, right after the Fedor fight, wasn't there a Gracie that fought? Maybe it might have been a replay or whatever, but
I think it was a replay,
during that.
And I was like,
same thing Mastermind
for
said.
sure. That happened. It was right as I finally found a new one, they were in the ring, and I was like, phew, I found it. But it was yeah, that happened to me too.
I finally found it. I found it on YouTube. Somebody had it up there. It was just a little tiny box in the bottom right hand corner, and on the main part, and it was all in reverse. But then you could hear the commentating. But in the background, it was a UFC 2 video game with Phil Sonnen versus Bob Rutten or some shit. So it was many, many tiny midgets down there watching them. You could still see it.
That's funny.
As soon as it was over, they didn't even get to announcing the winner, and they shut it off.
Well, that sounds like a shit show. That sounds funny though. The UFC game going on in the background. You're watching it in the little corner. That's funny. But it's been going 49 minutes. We got about 10 more minutes before we're liable to get cut off by this weird ass app.
Oh, it's all good, man. Better play it safe. I lost my voice the other day anyway, so it fucking sounds all good. 16 house.
Watching those LFA fights. No, I'm just playing.
That's what it was. Colby, no, Colby.
No, Colby, no! Did you hear Sage Northcutt was
I forgot to those fights were on last night until your video this morning.
I didn't even get to watch them, man. I ended up being busy from this bullshit going on, but I wanted to just watch her fight. And they had Sage Northcutt commentating during her fight. Like, no, yeah, he was commentating, and it was, I just want a clip of what he was saying.
She's so good right now.
Yeah, she's covering up, but she'll get out. She'll get out. She'll get out. Oh my God, that had to be. Man, yeah, that's funny. But I just want to hear the clip of that, like that head movement, that Edmund Targaryen clip. I just want to hear what Sage was saying. Like, I want to hear if he broke character. Like, what the fuck, Colby? Like, if he actually fucking cursed for once. Like, watching this shit get beat up and ground and pound.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch.
Kill my fucking sister!
Everybody jumps in there, celebrity deathmatch style.
Oh, Lord. Like, he throws her chair over the cage, like this. Hey, get the table! Oh, that's hilarious. But just like Aaron Pico, though, you know, she's even in the LFA. She can lose this fight, win the next 4, and still be okay.
It's good, like, it's good for them to lose. Like, it is shitty, but it is good. Like,
they don't got that pressure. Like, oh, I want to take that 0, and
yeah, it's better for them to lose it now and like deal with it now before they're really big, and then they have all the media surrounding them about the loss and shit. You know, like Aaron Pico will probably still have that. Though,
yeah, Madison Square Garden, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, shit, man, fuck it. I'm gonna cross my fingers. Like, I tested the call recorder out right before I called another phone and made sure it recorded, and it did. So I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope this shit recorded. I'm pretty sure it did, and I can also raise the volume and the voice now because I'm fucking a savage with the audio program. I mean, I can edit and cut and delete and copy. So I think we're good, man. But shit, it was good talking to you.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks for your time.
Oh, man,
hey, fuck Oscar.
Fuck Oscar.
QH1.
Thank you, yeah. Fuck QH1.
And all day long, you're a bitch. All day long, you're a fucking bitch.
All day
I like you, motherfucker. You're a bitch. I don't fucking like you. You're a fucking bagel-biting bitch. And who's the other motherfucker? I don't remember his fucking name, but yeah, you know who you are.
I know who you're talking about. Damn, it's a dude that acts like he's not a troll, and he acts like he's cool, but he still be trolling.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. Lex, is his name Lex, bro? Is it Lex?
Yeah, that little motherfucker. Right there. You were supposed to be in the Cold Royal Rumble. You got fucking Stone Cold Stunner, bud. Get over it.
Let's go. All right, bro. It was good talking to you.
You too, bro.
All right, bro. We out. Let's go.
Right.